Good evening and welcome to it. It is the OMU podcast with your host, Neto Machele. As usual, I'm all the way in the Kruger National Park. It's been a bit cold the past few weeks here in South Africa. We're recording this actually in October. So if you are a bit confused about the dates, it's in October. It's been a bit cold, but it's starting to warm up right now. Today is no different from how we have it every other week. We have another brilliant man from Muir College. But before we jump into an interview with him, please follow my instructions, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, as well as liking the pages on our Instagram, our LinkedIn, as well as on Facebook. It is OMU or the Old Muir Union. So we're going to be speaking to somebody who was not at school, but he was at school at the same time. At school. And I'm talking about none other than Mr. Krinesan Moodley. Mr. Moodley, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, and you, Lido.
I'm very well, thank you. So the last time we met, you were doing a post-matric here at Muir College, and you were actually my cricket coach. Did I have a future in cricket?
You're aging me now. I mean, I remember that clearly. That was 2001,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. I matriculated in 2000. 2001, I did a post-matric. And then carried on working at Muir after that as an intern to start off with. So, it was a long time ago. Considering that I'm coming back for my 25-year reunion next year, it does seem like a lifetime ago.
So, schools at Muir College were obviously there's a whole different cultures and races, but we all amalgamate into like one sort of unit. So I want to know, as far as nicknames go, what was your nickname in high school? How did this nickname come along?
Yeah, so it was interesting. One of my teachers, who was a border master at the time, English teacher, well known, a Muir legend, Mr. Rowan Clutie,
Yes.
taught me English, and also was in the boarding house at the time. And my brother and I were obviously at Muir together. He was 2 years behind me, but we only sort of a year apart in age. I suppose I have a very difficult first name, Krinesan, so not many people know me by that.
Yeah.
And the one day in English class, he decided that he was going to call me Moodles Major and my brother Moodles Minor. And so the rest is history, eh? And now I don't think many people know me by my first name. But it seems to be Moodles is the name that I'm widely known by.
All right, cool. So
yes, my lifelong nickname started at
Noodles, Noodles.
Yeah.
So high school is a major part of who we are, right? It's supposed to be the place where it's a building block for our future and our future selves. What did you do when you left school?
So, I mean, I suppose the influence of Muir and the people there had such a profound influence on my life that I decided that was something I wanted to impart on kids moving forward. So obviously the medium that drew the most attention from me was sport, and started off wanting to be involved in sport. I had a passion for sport, and that was grown at Muir largely, and some very influential staff who I suppose changed both my brother and my life because of their, our involvement in sport and their influence. And so, I had this passion to want to stay involved with sport. And so stayed on at Muir, obviously did the post-matric as we spoke about, and then started coaching. I remember even in matric, Mr. JP Botha, who's at Woodridge now, he was sort of my hockey coach when we were under 16. He got me into into umpiring hockey. He was very big on boys gaining knowledge about why they were doing certain things. And that instilled a sort of a love for not only playing the game, but administering and coaching it, and that kind of is how my career in education started. And things have just evolved from there. But I've been in schools ever since. I've worked in 4 schools, including Muir. And studied while working and gained experience along the way. And find myself in Pretoria now.
Cool. So we participate in all sorts of extracurricular activities. And Muir College had a rule that you had to play sport every season. So summer you had to play cricket, winter you had to play either rugby or hockey or do athletics, right? And I know you're a big cricket and hockey guy.
Mm.
And your brother played both. So I want to, how did you then decide to select the extracurricular activity that you selected?
Look, I mean, I think the way you grow up at primary school, often influences a lot of your choices. But the hockey one's an interesting story. I'll get to that. But cricket was a part of our family since from my grandfather was an avid cricket fan. We watched cricket all growing up. It was a part of life. I still believe that coaching cricket is the closest to teaching boys about real life that it comes. So I just had that passion for cricket. It was nothing that was forced. It was just something that I thought was one of the most important things to me and my family. And so, cricket was a natural choice coming into Muir. I didn't consider any other sports. Believe it or not, you only remember my brother for playing both because he played both at first team level. I did play a lot. I played rugby right through my career at Muir, but not necessarily in the A teams. But I loved my rugby, and I actually ended up coaching a bit of rugby as well at a previous school I worked in. So sport was we loved sport. We played rugby at prep school, and then I think one of the biggest positives about Muir was that back then we were able to play both. We could work the schedule that we could play both, and it's something that I'll always be grateful for, because I see nowadays the way sport's gone in schools, and being involved in a school myself, it's almost impossible for boys to play both in the same season. But that was a massive positive. The hockey was interesting. I was still under 13 in grade 8. So I played cricket in the under 13 team. Mr. Barnard was my coach, and my brother and I actually played in the same team. And then, soccer stopped at prep school at Muir.
Yeah.
And I played soccer all my primary school career because I didn't go to Muir at primary school. So I played soccer up until our end of grade 7. And then in grade 8, had to try rugby and hockey, and picked up a hockey stick for the first time. And it's amazing, again, talk about influential people, guy like Neville Rothman, who is still a very close friend of mine, and JP Buerta and Mr. Hopley, just ignited that passion, and hockey's largely shaped my career. So it's amazing how you find opportunities in the most interesting spaces. I didn't never picked up a hockey stick at Muir. I picked it up for the first time, and it's been amazing.
Cool. So we have a lot of friends at school, and how did your friendship sort of start and evolve in school? And are you still friends with some of the people that you went to school with?
Yeah, so again, it's probably going to sound like a cliche, but it's obviously started through sport. Sports that connector. But I remember, and Brent Buerta, who was the head boy in my year, him and I are still very good friends. Most of my classmates are my best friends still today. But Brent and I'll never forget. My brother had started at Muir a year before me. I stayed in East London to finish my grade 7 year, and I started in grade 8. But there are not many new boys that start in grade 8. Well, back then, there certainly weren't many new boys, because obviously Muir had boys from grade 7 going into grade 8. But, these two nervous boys at the start of the year, in the January of, let me get my dates right, in 1996.
Yeah.
And Brent and I were sitting next to each other, both new to Muir. And he was the very first guy I met there. And yeah, we remain friends, all these years later, 30 years later. So, it's been an incredible journey. Brent was one of the main reasons that I moved up to the Gauteng to start off with. And built a career here. So, still some of my close friends. There was another. I also played golf at Muir. I played a lot of golf. And golf just lends itself, golf and cricket, to creating those lifelong friends, because you spend so much time with people. Yeah. So, there's Robert Cable, still a close friend of mine. He didn't matriculate at Muir, but did the majority of his high schooling there. Yeah. Kewan Hopley, still a close friend of mine. Jonathan Partington, Brenton Crane, and still a number of guys that I keep in touch with at different phases. So, a lot of those guys are still quite close to me.
Cool. So we just had a huge reunion. And how many reunions have you participated in? And which one has been your favorite?
So I must say, when I was a staff member at Muir, I think those were my favorites. You just kind of live the whole experience, which was fantastic. And I was connected to the community. So, it was great to see all your friends coming back and had good fun. Maybe it was because it was my younger years and it was easy to have fun and enjoy yourself. It's, so I came back to a couple. It's been a bit more challenging being involved in a school myself. Yeah. Getting back to the reunions, and I was very sad to miss the big celebrations. But it was just not a good time for me to be away. I was the acting head where I am at the moment, so it was just impossible to miss. But I'm certainly making plans to be back for my 25-year reunion next year.
Okay, so we've just spoken about your other talents in sports. But taking it away from that, there's a more challenging question for you. What other secret talents do you have that nobody else knows about?
Well, I don't know that nobody else knows about. Maybe the general public don't know about them. But cooking is one that I'm supremely passionate about. You can ask my friends, if you talk to them whenever we go away on golf tours or trips away. I'm the guy who does all of that stuff. Yeah. I love it. It's I keep saying to my wife that maybe I've got to go and become a chef. It really is something that I enjoy doing. Maybe it just escapes from reality a little bit, but that is something that I'm quite passionate about, and I love the planning and the trying new things. I mean, I suppose it's ingrained in me a little bit. My mother was a home economics teacher, so we grew up, understanding how all that works, and so that's one of the things that I think I would have pursued outside of what I'm doing now.
So what is so on this cooking note, what is your best dish? If I had to come to your house and I'd say, look, can you make me your best? What would you make?
That's a tough one. But I would probably make you a curry. I think I'd probably make you a chicken curry. I think that would be one of my favorite, or certainly one of the most requested ones from my friends. Obviously learned that craft from my mother.
Yeah.
So I'd probably start there, but also love cooking outdoors, so braai, Weber, that type of thing. So it could be a tough one. Maybe I'd have to do 3 courses, all on a different method of cooking. We'll start with a braai and then end off with a curry.
All right. So your college becomes a big part. I mean, any school that any boys go to becomes a big part of who they are, as we had said before. But school is also
Absolutely.
supposed to prepare us as a people. It sets that first foundation for us to gain a bit of confidence and to know who we are as people. Now, I want to know, for my second last question, how do you believe your time at Muir College has prepared you for life after school?
Well, that's a good question, and it's something that's very difficult to sum up in a couple of sentences. But for me, uh, Muir came into our family's life. I should put it to you like that, at a time when we needed that stability. It was a tough time then. We had just lost my dad, so Muir played a vital role in helping my brother and I through that phase, and gave my mom a community to be part of, which I think was vital for us at that time. So I'll always be grateful for that. And Mr. Hopley was an integral part of that, and that brings me to, I suppose, if I had to talk about, when I talk about me, I talk about people.
Yeah,
People. You can take the buildings away, you can take the 200 and whatever years of tradition and all those things, but the people make Muir. And I think that, that I don't know how it worked that way, but Muir just kept attracting quality people. And you see that all over, how successful guys have been beyond school. But the teachers and the staff and the boarding staff and the kitchen staff and the ground staff, they were just good people that took an interest in growing young men.
yeah,
And I saw myself and so many of my friends and acquaintances just thrive in that space. I think that there were people who cared. I think that discipline's an important part. I think that you certainly learned a lot of life lessons, but I always believe that you learn through example.
yeah,
And I think that that's how Muir, and that's why I say it shaped my career,
yeah,
because I was so influenced by what the people did for me and my family, that it was almost going into education was in a way repaying that, because I do think that teaching is vocational,
mm,
and it might not be the most popular career for boys, because there's other avenues that you can pursue that might pay you more.
yes,
But I've been incredibly blessed as an educator, and I think that that's largely through the influence of my school days. I mean, I suppose people are preparing you for the next phase of your life without really knowing that they're doing it. It's those incidental conversations that you have. I remember conversations with people who I still look up to today, and some of them are not with us anymore. I think of Mr. Barnard.
yeah,
He lived fairly close to us, driving my brother and I to cricket matches on a Saturday, and the conversations that took place in the car or on the long trips to Graaff-Reinet or wherever it was. It just felt like there was this wisdom you could tap into, and you didn't realize that you were being prepared for life then. But now when you look back, it's easy to understand why some of those conversations were so pertinent at the time. And then I look at a lot of the way that I still live my life today and run the school that I work in, is based on the principles that I learned at Muir. I saw that you had a question down there about who was the scariest teacher, and it got my memory going. The one thing that I think changed on that day about appearance and the way you look and the way you carry yourself was, and I first started playing in the golf team in grade 8. Mr. Laatgan was head of golf.
yeah,
And those who know that, if you were in the quad or the area there and you heard Mr. Laatgan having a go, everybody stopped and listened. And I never forget, we played a golf tournament at in Graaff-Reinet,
yeah,
and we had to take our uniform to change into after the golf. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I was quite a nervous guy in grade 8, and then I realized that I forgot my tie,
Ooh.
and I had to. No one had an extra tie, obviously, so I had to then face Mr. Latergan, and that was one of the scariest moments of my school career, And he got quite upset initially, but what he did next is something that stood with me. He took off his tie and gave it to me to wear, to the prize giving.
Yeah.
And I just thought that, behind the exterior of making sure that boys did the right thing was obviously the heart and the care and that type of thing. And now that I find myself in a position in a school to influence young men, I think that's what you want. Boys need boundaries. They like to know where they stand, but they also need people to be compassionate, and I think that was one moment that certainly stands out. Yeah.
All right. I know I didn't ask you all the questions, so don't crucify me for that.
Yeah.
We're reaching the end of the interview. We're running out of time. But I want us to leave you. I want you to leave us rather with some words of wisdom before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that a lot of old boys will watch this, and I hope some boys will watch it. But I think that in today's world, I think that the youth just need to understand that you need to make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. The world is so full of opportunity for young people these days that and you just got to commit and hard work will always get you places. It might not get you there fast, but it will get you there. And the last thing, I suppose, it's difficult to leave one bit of advice, but I just think gratitude is a skill that all of us need to exercise more. I think that I'm incredibly grateful for my journey through Muir and where I find myself today. And I think that if more people operated from a base of gratitude, I think South Africa would be in a much better space if we celebrated the positive and celebrated what we have rather than what we don't have.
Cool. Mr. Moodley, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy man.
Thank you, Nedo. No, I appreciate your time and
And I hope I wish you the best on all your future endeavors.
Thank you. Cool. And all the best there in the Kruger. I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Just give me a call when you're around. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers, Mr. Moodley. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Krinesan Moodley, all the way up in Pretoria, our capital city. But guys, please, man, if you would like to comment on our videos, you can only do that on our social media pages. So please do follow our LinkedIn, our Facebook, as well as our Instagram pages, OMU Union. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and also hit the bell notification so that you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. For tonight's episode, that is it. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time for another episode of the OMU podcast. So from myself, your host, Neto Machele, and Mr. Krinesan Moodley, it is Nek Pluribus Impa. See you guys next time. Cheers.